Chapter 41, Pang City. After flying for a little under an hour, Yuan was beginning to feel fatigued from using his spiritual energy constantly. How am I feeling tired already? I have over 100 million qi. Yuan was baffled by how quickly his qi depleted when he had over 100 million qi. Either flying requires a massive amount of qi to maintain, or the large number of qi does not justify his actual amount of qi. No wonder why cultivators rather walk than fly. He sighed inwardly. Hold on a little bit longer, brother Yuan. Xiaohua suddenly said to him. There's a small city up ahead. We can rest there. A few minutes later, Yuan could see the city walls with buildings inside a few miles in the distance. Although it did not appear to be as big as Spirit City, it was still considerably spacious. You have discovered Pang City. Sometime later, Yuan and Xiaohua descended from the sky and landed near the city entrance, instantly attracting the attention of everyone there. An expert. It's an expert. I have never seen anyone fly without the assistance of a flying sword before. The people there began mumbling to each other with awe, their gazes filled with respect. When the guards at the gates saw Yuan and Xiaohua, they immediately approached them and bowed to them. Welcome to Pang City, seniors. Seniors? Yuan raised his eyebrows in a baffled manner. Does he really look that old in the eyes of these guards? Listen here, I am only 18 years old. Don't address me as if I am an old man. That's disrespectful, Yuan said to them. The guards stared at Yuan with even larger eyes after hearing his words. What kind of prodigy could control a flying sword at such a young age? Calling him a genius would still be an understatement. Oh, our apologies, young master. The guards apologized when they snapped out of their daze. Brother Yuan, people care about your power above anything else in the cultivation world. Being called a senior means they acknowledge that your strength is above theirs, and it's not disrespectful at all. Is that so? But it still feels weird to be addressed in such a manner. Yuan said. Anyway, what do you want with us? He asked the guards a moment later. If it's not too much to ask, we would like to know the young master and young lady's reason for visiting this place. The guards responded still with their heads lowered. We don't have any reason, really. We're only taking a break here before we resume our journey. Yuan said to them. If the young masters are looking for a place to rest, may we recommend the Lord's Manor, said one of the guards. The Lord's Manor? That sounds like a very expensive place, and we won't be staying here for long, so it's not necessary. Yuan quickly rejected their offer, as he was personally penniless. Don't worry about the expenses, young master. The Lord won't charge you even a single coin. The guard said to him. But I don't want to intrude on this person without any reason, Yuan said. In his eyes, it was simply too awkward for him to stay in someone's house without any good reason, not to mention a place as impressive sounding as the Lord's Manor. To tell you the truth, we are only following the Lord's orders, as he is currently in a troubled situation and is looking for experts for help. The guards suddenly revealed the real reason why they wanted him to go to the Lord's Manor. Oh, Yuan's eyes flickered with interest upon hearing the guard's words. Could this be a quest? Maybe the real reason they approached me is because I am a player. Yuan thought to himself. I guess it won't hurt to visit this person who might need our help. What do you think, Xiaohua? Yuan nodded a moment later. Xiaohua will follow brother Yuan's decision, she quickly responded. Okay, then let's go to this Lord's Manor, Yuan said to the guards, who immediately wore very bright smiles on their faces. Thank you very much, young masters. The Lord will be filled with joy once he learns of this. Please wait a moment while I find an escort for the young masters. One of the guards quickly left the scene. A few minutes later, the guard returned with a very beautiful lady who did not have the appearance of an ordinary escort. Welcome to Pang City, esteemed guests. The lady greeted them with courtesy before introducing herself. I am Luo Ling, the eldest daughter of the Luo family that governs this humble city. Allow me to escort you back to my home. You can call me Yuan, and this is Xiaohua. Yuan gave her a quick introduction. Senior Yuan and Senior Xiao, right? You can drop the formality and just call me Yuan, he said to her, as it felt incredibly weird for a beautiful lady who only appeared to be in her mid-20s to call him senior. How does Taoist Yuan sound? I do not dare to address someone as powerful as you so casually, Luo Ling said to him. Powerful? You are giving me too much credit. I am only at the spirit warrior level, Yuan said with a bashful smile. Despite that, You emit a very formidable aura, not to mention the young lady beside you. Luo Ling looked at Xiao Hua with a nervous gaze. Although she cannot see Xiao Hua's entire cultivation base, she was certain that Xiao Hua was at least at the spirit grandmaster level, as many people here have witnessed her flying without the assistance of a flying sword, and she even emits the aura of a true expert. Taoist Yuan is fine, I guess. He nodded a moment later. Luo Ling proceeded to escort Yuan and Xiao Hua into the city. Meanwhile, the people that had to wait in line to get inside the Pang City began mumbling to each other. Did you see that? I have never seen Lady Luo personally receive guests before. Of course I saw it. I am not blind. And those two were clearly experts. It'd only be obvious that they would be treated with the utmost respect. Hey, did you hear that young man just now? I think he called himself Yuan. Could he be the player Yuan that everyone and their mother has been talking about? Are you sure you heard right? He didn't give off the feeling of a player, much less an unfathomable individual such as player Yuan. He's probably just an NPC with a similar name. Yeah, probably. It would be amazing if he was the real player Yuan, though. A group of players within the line chatted with each other while they waited for their turn to enter the city. Chapter 42, Luo Family. After entering the city, Yuan said to Luo Ling, "The guards mentioned that the lord of this city is currently in a troubled situation. What's troubling him, and how can we help him?" "Well, it's like this, Taoist Yuan. A few days ago, some ignorant adventurer went into the mountains to hunt, and he accidentally killed the mountain lord's child. This greatly angered the mountain lord, who immediately blamed our city and swore to send an army of monsters to trample us very soon." Mountain lord? Is that a person, or? Yuan raised his eyebrows. The mountain lord is a fearsome beast at the 5th level of the spirit warrior realm, and it is a guardian of sorts for the Pang Mountain that's right beside our Pang City. If it attacks our city, only my father, who's also at the 5th level of the spirit warrior realm, can fight it. But then he won't be able to protect the city against the other monsters, and we are currently lacking in manpower with around 50 guards, with most of them being at the spirit apprentice level. Luo Ling explained the situation to him. This is why we are looking for any help we can get. If Taoist Yuan is willing to lend us your power, it would definitely help us a lot, and we won't spare any effort into repaying you afterward," Luo Ling said to him with her head lowered. "Since this city needs help and the strongest threat is only at the 5th level of the spirit warrior realm, there's no reason why I would refuse to give you my assistance." Yuan nodded. Now that he is at the 4th level of the spirit warrior realm, he shouldn't have any problems fighting even 7th level spirit warriors, much less a spirit warrior at the 5th level. "Thank you very much, Taoist Yuan. My father will definitely be ecstatic to hear this later." Luo Ling bowed to him again before they continued walking. Sometime later, they arrived at a massive building that was situated in the middle of the city. "Welcome to my family's humble home," Luo Ling said to him when they were at the front gates. Yuan looked at the decorated building with wide eyes. How can such a place be described as humble? "Welcome back, young lady. Welcome to the Lord's Manor, esteemed guests." The guards by the gate greeted them when they approached. "Where's my father?" she asked them. "Lord Luo should be finishing up with the other guests right as we speak." "Oh, esteemed guests, you are finally here." A middle-aged man wearing luxurious official clothes suddenly came running out of the building in the middle of the guard's sentence. "Welcome to my humble home, esteemed guests. The guards have already briefed me about your presence. Thank you so much for taking the time to even listen to our request despite being so busy yourselves." Lord Luo extended his hands to Yuan for a handshake. "Don't worry about it. We are not actually that busy anyway," Yuan said as he accepted Lord Luo's handshake. "Please, let us continue speaking inside." Lord Luo then led them into a large guest room and said to Luo Ling, "Bring us our finest tea, and bring the other two here while you're at it." "Yes, father." Luo Ling nodded. "Excuse me for a moment, Taoist Yuan," she said to him before leaving the room. "Esteemed guests, once again, allow me to thank you for coming here," Lord Luo said to them a moment later. "Just call me Taoist Yuan, and I have heard everything about your situation from Luo Ling," Yuan said to him. "You need help defending the city, right?" "That's right, Taoist Yuan. As shameful as it may sound, being only a 5th level spirit warrior, I do not have what it takes to defend the city in this dire situation. We usually don't have to worry about the beasts within the Pang Mountain because of a peace treaty between the city and the Mountain Lord, but because of what happened with the Mountain Lord's child, the treaty was broken. We had even tried to bring the perpetrator directly to the Mountain Lord, hoping it'd at least spare the innocent people in the city, but alas, the Mountain Lord was too consumed in anger to even care. Lord Luo spoke in a sighing voice. Taoist Yuan, the city and I will be eternally grateful even if you can help us take care of the weaker monsters, as it's the people in the city that I am the most worried about, and I will handle the Mountain Lord by myself. You have received a quest. Quest, protecting Pang City. Difficulty, easy. Quest description, defend the Pang City against the Mountain Lord's attack. Yuan nodded his head and said, Okay, we'll help you defend the city. Thank you. Thank you very much, Taoist Yuan. Sometime later, Luo Ling returned to the room with a teapot and 2 cups along with 2 other individuals that appeared to be around the same age as Yuan. Let me introduce you to my other children, Taoist Yuan. Lord Luo pointed at the handsome young man and said, This is my eldest son Luo Ming, who is 20 years old and at the 1st level spirit warrior. Hello, fellow Taoist. Luo Ming nodded at him. Lord Luo then moved to the beautiful young lady beside him and said, This is my youngest child, Luo Li, who is at the same age as Taoist Yuan and at the peak of the spirit apprentice level. It's a pleasure to meet someone as talented and handsome as Taoist Yuan. She gave him a graceful bow with the colors on her cheeks slightly rosy. Handsome. Yuan raised his eyebrows. This is the first time anyone's ever praised him for being handsome. Now that I think about it, I don't know what my appearance looks like in this game. Yuan suddenly came to this realization, as he never really cared about his own appearance, hence why he did not give it any thoughts until now. Chapter 43, Ulterior Motives. After his children introduced themselves, Lord Luo said to Yuan, Taoist Yuan, you came to the Pang City to rest, right? I have already arranged 2 of our best rooms for you and the young lady. And from the information we've gathered, the Mountain Lord plans on attacking us either tomorrow or the day after, so you are free to do whatever you want until then. I will leave one of my children with you just in case you need anything. Lord Luo then turned to look at his youngest daughter, Luo Li, with a sharp gaze. Luo Li immediately realized what her father was trying to tell her and stepped forward. I will be taking care of all of your needs, Taoist Yuan. If there's anything you desire, don't hesitate to talk to me, she said to him. Assisting the guest's needs are usually the servant's job, but Lord Luo specifically assigned his own daughter to take care of Yuan simply because he hoped that some kind of romantic relationship could bud between them, as it would definitely benefit their family to have a talented individual like Yuan with them. I'll be troubling you, Yuan calmly said, unable to take the obvious hint. Luo Li, show the guests their rooms. I have to return to the other guests since I kind of left them hanging to come here. Lord Luo said to her. He then turned to look at Yuan and said, I won't bother you any longer, Taoist Yuan. If you need anything at all, just let my daughter know and she'll take care of it. Although she may be young, I can proudly say that I've raised a very competent daughter. After Lord Luo and the others left the room, Luo Li said to Yuan, Shall we head to your room now? Yuan nodded and followed her to a large room somewhere down the hall. This will be Taoist Yuan's room, and the one next to it will be the young lady's room. Luo Li said to them, Xiaohua will stay with brother Yuan. Xiaohua suddenly said to her, That's okay too. The bed is large enough to fit 4 people, after all. Luo Li nodded. A few moments later, when they entered the room, Yuan was amazed by the spacious room that was decorated with Chinese antiques in almost every direction. What do you think, Taoist Yuan? Is this room to your taste? Luo Li asked him a moment later. He quickly nodded. Then I will leave you alone for now. If you need anything, I will be standing outside. Luo Li said to him. You don't have to do that. It would actually have the opposite effect, and I won't be able to relax. Yuan looked at her with wide eyes. Then what do you suggest, Taoist Yuan? My father told me to stay with you, after all. He won't like it if I left you alone. Yuan scratched his head before saying, I guess you can stay here for now. I have a few questions about a few things, too. Then I shall stay in this room with Taoist Yuan. Luo Li nodded before walking to the door and standing there like a guardian of sorts. You don't have to be so strict with yourself. Sit down and relax. Yuan said to her with a weird smile on his face, feeling kind of awkward with her seriousness. Sometime later, Yuan and Luo Li sat across each other on the couch. Your father mentioned other guests. Are they also going to be helping with defending the city? Yuan asked her. Yes. Most of them are warriors who came from a very distant land, and they were all very eager to help us defend the city after we told them about our situation, and we cannot be more thankful to everyone for helping us, especially you, Taoist Yuan. Luo Li said with a beautiful smile on her face. A distant land? Could they be players like myself? Yuan thought to himself. I see. Then can you tell me more about this place? He asked a moment later. Our Pang City. We're just an ordinary city with a few thousand citizens. Compared to Taoist Yuan's background, we're not even worth mentioning. Luo Li replied with an embarrassed smile. My background? Yuan raised his eyebrows. Luo Li nodded and said, despite being the same age as me, Taoist Yuan is already at the 4th level spirit warrior. I have never met anyone as talented as you before. Surely, you must come from a powerful sect or a renowned family. However, Yuan quickly shook his head and said, I'm neither from a powerful sect or a renowned family. Really? Then where did Taoist Yuan come from? And who taught you how to cultivate? Luo Li looked at him with wide eyes, as she cannot imagine someone as talented as Yuan coming from nowhere. Well, I am also from a distant land that is not well known in this place. As for who taught me cultivation, Yuan turned to look at Xiaohua, who was casually sitting beside him with a calm expression. This young lady taught you cultivation? Luo Li stared at her with a dazed expression. However, Xiaohua shook her head and said, Xiaohua did not really do anything. It was brother Yuan who learned everything by himself. That's not true, Xiaohua. If not for you, I would not have become a cultivator so soon. And you were the one who gave me the cultivation technique and taught me what it means to be a cultivator. Xiaohua merely gave brother Yuan the chance to learn the cultivation technique. It was mostly due to brother Yuan's own effort and talent that he managed to learn it. Luo Li was speechless. Hearing their conversation, it sounded as if Yuan had only become a cultivator very recently. When did Taoist Yuan start cultivating? She decided to ask him out of curiosity. About a week ago, Yuan said after pondering for a bit. Luo Li stared at him with wide eyes that were filled with disbelief. It had taken him only a week to reach the 4th level spirit warrior realm from the beginning? What kind of cultivation monster is he? Chapter 44, Appearance. Don't think too much about it. You'll only give yourself a headache, Xiaohua suddenly said to Luo Li, almost as though she could read her mind. Brother Yuan is a prodigy that appears once every few generations. You won't understand his talent with ordinary logic. Is that so? Luo Li decided to take Xiaohua's advice and stop thinking about it. Sometime later, Yuan said, By the way, I would like to take a look around this city if you don't mind. Of course not. Let me speak with my father first, then I will guide you around the city. Luo Li quickly said. Yuan nodded, and Luo Li left the room shortly later. Once Luo Li was gone, Yuan looked around the room with curiosity, as this is his first time being inside such a unique room. And that is when he noticed the tall mirror sitting at the corner of the room. Oh, a mirror. Yuan immediately stood up and walked to the mirror with his heart filled with anticipation and nervousness. What does he look like in this world? Is he really as handsome as Luo Li described him? This is me. Yuan stood before the mirror that was slightly taller than his head with a dazed face. He had short but silky black hair on his oval-shaped head, clear brown eyes that were bright as crystals, long eyelashes that would make even females jealous, sharp but neat eyebrows, and a small nose. Overall, his face was very symmetrical and pleasant-looking. The last time he'd seen his own face was when he was 7 years old, before he lost his ability to see and became blind. If I recall correctly, Yuro once mentioned that one's appearance in the game will closely resemble their appearance in the real world, hence why I entered this game with an avatar already created for me. However, I do not know what I look like in the real world, and it has been over 10 years since I last saw my own face, so I cannot confirm whether this face really resembles my real appearance or not. Furthermore, because he does not know the standard regarding one's appearance, he cannot really tell whether he's really handsome or not. Therefore, he decided to ask someone else for their opinion. Xiaohua, I have a question for you. Yuan suddenly said to her. What is it, brother Yuan? He then pointed at his own face and asked with a serious expression, without being biased, "What do you think of my appearance? Would you say that I am handsome? Or am I ugly?" Xiaohua looked at him with wide eyes, seemingly speechless by his sudden question. A few moments later, she spoke in a bashful voice and with slightly rosy cheeks. "Xiaohua thinks Brother Yuan is very handsome." "Really? Are you sure that you're not just complimenting me because you don't want to hurt my feelings?" "It's okay to tell the truth, Xiaohua," Yuan said to her, as he had a feeling that her judgment might be somewhat inaccurate because of their relationship. Xiaohua is telling the truth. Brother Yuan is very handsome, Xiaohua said again, but her face was flushed with redness this time. "Okay, I will trust your judgment." Yuan nodded. Xiaohua was speechless. Why would he even want this kind of feedback? Did he not look in the mirror just now? Anyone with a working brain would agree that Yuan was handsome. Or did he just want to tease her? "Why are you asking about your appearance, Brother Yuan? Is it because of that Luo girl?" she decided to ask him. However, Yuan quickly shook his head and said, "No, I was just wondering because I have never really cared for my own appearance." "Don't worry, Brother Yuan. In the cultivation world, one's appearance isn't that important. As long as you are talented and powerful, unless you have the world's ugliest face, you'll be able to attract girls. And since Brother Yuan is both talented and handsome, you will, without doubt, have beauties fighting for you in every direction in the future." Thinking that Yuan was worried about his appearance, Xiaohua decided to cheer him up. "Huh, my appearance is the least of my worries, Xiaohua." Yuan laughed in a bitter voice. A few minutes later, Luo Li returned to the room. However, she looked a little bit different than before she left, almost as though she came back even prettier. It was obvious that besides speaking with her father, Luo Li had spent some time improving her own appearance with light makeup. Of course, as someone who doesn't pay much attention to appearances, Yuan was completely oblivious of this fact. "Taoist Yuan, I have let my father know about your wishes to look around the city. We can leave whenever you want," she said to him. "Okay, then let's leave now," Yuan said. Sometime later, they left the Lord's manor. "Where do you wish to visit first, Taoist Yuan?" she asked him once they were outside. Yuan shrugged and said, "I don't know what's in this city, so I'll let you choose where to visit." However, as this is her first time giving a tour to someone, Luo Li was also unsure of where to go. Therefore, she decided to just walk around the city until they come across something that would pique Yuan's interest. "That fruit stall over there is managed by Madame Ing, and it always has the freshest fruits in the city. That's Mr. Wang's treasure, the only weapon shop in our city. This is the residences area where most of the citizens live. That building over there is Li's clinic." Luo Li gave a brief explanation for most of the shops and buildings they passed, and Yuan would listen to her with a bright face, looking as though he was in an amusement park. However, he would show the most interest when Luo Li talked about the buildings that were related to food, and upon noticing this, Luo Li asked him, "Would you like to experience some of Pang City's finest cuisines?" "Really?" Yuan immediately became excited, but when he remembered that his wallet was near empty, he asked her, "I only have 10 gold coins on me. Will that be enough?" Finding his question quite silly, Luo Li couldn't help but laugh slightly. "With 10 gold coins, you can eat everything on every single menu in this city and still have plenty of money left." "What? The food here is that cheap? My last meal was atrociously expensive in comparison." Yuan was shocked to learn that the food in this place was so cheap, especially when he'd spent 500 gold coins on his previous meal. "Brother Yuan, that's because you were stuffing your face with expensive spiritual meat. Normal food will only cost a few silver coins at most." Xiaohua said to him, "Is that so? Then what are we waiting for? Let's go eat until our stomachs are round," Yuan quickly said. Chapter 45, Bounty. Sometime later, Luo Li brought Yuan to one of their largest and most famous restaurants. 100-style pork shop. Yuan looked at the sign above the door with a slightly wet mouth. As the name implies, this restaurant specializes in pork. Of course, there are other foods on the menu, but they are most famous for their pork. Luo Li said to them before they walked inside, "Welcome to the 100-style pork shop, Lady Luo." The receptionist immediately recognized and greeted Luo Li. "Table for 3, she said. "I understand. Please, come with me." The receptionist then led them to the largest table in the room that could easily fit even a large family. Here's the menu, young lady. Thank you. By the way, you can send the bill to my family. Luo Li then said to the receptionist. Are you sure? Yuan asked her when he heard her words. Yes. Although it's not much, please allow my family to treat Taoist Yuan to this meal. If my father was here, he would have also said the same. After all, Taoist Yuan is still our esteemed guest. If we cannot even do something as simple as feeding you, then it would bring shame upon the entire Luo family. Luo Li said. You're exaggerating, Yuan said with an awkward smile, as he was not used to this royalty-like treatment. Anyway, please order whatever you want, Taoist Yuan. My family will bear all of your bills today. Seeing the stubbornly beautiful smile on Luo Li's face, Yuan could only nod his head and accept her offer. A few moments later, Yuan began ordering from the menu. I'll have this braised pork, this seasoned pork, this pulled pork, this, and this. Both the receptionist and Luo Li stared at Yuan with wide eyes as he continued to name dishes after dishes until he named almost every dish that was available on the menu. Meanwhile, Xiaohua casually sat there with a calm expression, looking as though she was used to seeing this scene. Be very well. I'll immediately notify the cooks. The receptionist quickly left their table a few minutes later with her hands feeling slightly numb from writing essentially the entire menu. Taoist Yuan must have been starving from his journey. Luo Li said to him with a stiff smile on her face, while silently wondering to herself whether Yuan really had the ability to eat so much food. Yes, I am quite exhausted after riding the flying sword for so long. Yuan nodded. If you don't mind me asking, where does Taoist Yuan plan on heading to after the Pang City? She suddenly asked him. Oh, we are heading to the purple bamboo forest for training, he said with a calm expression. The purple bamboo forest. Luo Li covered her mouth in shock after hearing his words. What's the matter? Yuan was surprised by her reaction. The purple bamboo forest is renowned for nurturing powerful beasts above the spirit warrior realm. It's a dangerous place where beasts as powerful as the mountain lord are abundant, and only the strongest warriors would dare to train such a place. Luo Li looked at Yuan with awe in her eyes. To think Taoist Yuan would go to such a dangerous place just for training. You are truly on another level compared to me, who cannot even go to the Pang Mountain without supervision. I am now feeling ashamed to even share the same table as you. It may be a dangerous place, but how else am I going to grow stronger? Yuan laughed. Indeed, while it may be dangerous, the cultivation world is already filled with danger, and only those who are willing to risk their lives for improvements like Taoist Yuan can truly reach the peak. I really admire Taoist Yuan for that, Luo Li said to him with an adoring gaze. Sometime later, the receptionist and a few servers returned to their table with dishes in both their hands. We will continue bringing the dishes as they are being cooked. Do you need another table to hold the dishes? The servers asked them. No, it's fine. Brother Yuan will finish the dishes before you can even bring out new plates, Xiaohua said to them. Sometime later, once the table was filled with dishes, Yuan quickly began stuffing his face with food. Oh man, this food is really amazing. The meat is so flavorful and filled with juices. Every bite I take fills my mouth with bliss. Luo Li watched as Yuan constantly shoved food into his mouth without stopping with a dazed face, silently wondering to herself, Taoist Yuan is truly unfathomable. How can so much food fit into that body? A few moments later, Luo Li also began eating the food, but unlike Yuan, she ate as slow and as gracefully as possible, as she was afraid of ruining her makeup. And just like Xiaohua had predicted, Yuan managed to finish the dishes on the table before the next round of plates were brought to them, which greatly shocked the servers there. Hey, did you hear? They increased their offer for player Yuan again. Suddenly, as he was chewing his food, Yuan heard the people sitting behind them mention his name, causing him to slow down. I saw it. It's up to $50 million, right? They are even awarding anyone who can identify player Yuan with 5 million. 5 million. I will be set for life with that amount of money. It will only be a matter of time before one of his friends or even family members reveal his real identity to the world for the money. I can't believe people are willing to pay that much money for a cheater like player Yuan. You will never understand the rich. There are even some people who want to see player Yuan being PK'd. I think the bounty is around 10 million right now. Reward or not, if I ever see this player Yuan, I'm definitely going to play or kill him. Yuan slowly turned around to look at the group of people chatting loudly behind him with a dumbfounded expression, his round cheeks still filled with food. Surely, they must be talking about someone else with the same name as him, right? After all, he does not recall doing anything that would make other players hate him to the point of putting a bounty on his head. Hell, he hasn't even encountered any other players until now. Chapter 46. Learning about the situation. What's the matter, brother Yuan? Are you full already? Xiaohua asked him after noticing that he'd stopped eating the food. No, not yet. Yuan quickly returned to stuffing food into his mouth, but his ears remained perked and focused on the group of players behind him, as he was curious about this player Yuan they were mentioning. Surely, they must be talking about someone else who has the same name as him, right? After all, it's not uncommon for people to have the same name in games nowadays, as they have removed the unrepeatable names limit for most games these days, allowing players to have whatever name they want without the frustration of changing names because someone had already picked the name before them. Though, this player Yuan sure is quite the mystery. Anyone with a working brain would not hide their existence when there's so much fame to their name. If he continues to hide his identity, people will eventually forget about him, wasting this massive opportunity to become famous. Do you think player Yuan is actually someone within the legacy? That's not possible. Everyone in the legacy has already announced their identity in the game to the world, and we know that it's not possible for one person to have two different characters in this game, even if they buy two consoles. It doesn't matter who this player Yuan is. As long as there's a bounty for his head, everyone will be aiming to PK him. Good heavens, what on earth did this player Yuan do to make the players so angry? Yuan silently pondered to himself as he listened to the players talk. A few minutes later, when Yuan could no longer contain his curiosity, he turned around and spoke to the players. Excuse me, can you tell me more about this player Yuan? What did he do to make the others want to play or kill him? Hearing his question, the players looked at him with a weird expression. HM, you don't know about player Yuan? Have you not been on the internet lately? Even people who don't play the game know about him. One of them said to them. Unfortunately, I haven't, Yuan said with a bitter smile. Well, player Yuan is a mysterious player who has been dominating the game with an impossibly fast progression recently, and there are even accusations of him being a cheater. A cheater? Yuan's eyes widened with surprise. How does one even cheat in this game? Is that why people want to PK him? Because he's cheating? He then asked. That's only one of many reasons why people want him dead. Well, the biggest reason is that they envy this player Yuan, who is akin to a godlike existence in this game at this current moment. Godlike existence. Yuan expressed awe. Of course, he not only has a divine grade technique, but also a divine grade servant. And it hasn't even been that long since the game launched. It's no wonder people are calling him a cheater. How else can you progress that fast? Yuan's eyes widened with shock after hearing such words. A divine grade technique and a divine grade servant? He slowly turned to look at Xiaohua and swallowed nervously. Surely, it must only be some kind of coincidence. When the players saw Yuan's bewildered reaction, they all laughed loudly. Huh, we know exactly how you feel, young man. We also felt the same when we first heard it. However, this player Yuan is not only powerful, but he's also incredibly rich, as he'd obtained over 1 million gold coins not long ago, becoming the first person to enter the wealth leaderboards. And he even soloed this dungeon recently. Yuan began sweating profusely at their words. Heavens, they are really talking about me. He cried inwardly after this realization. I see. Yuan tried his best to remain calm and said to them, Thank you for this information. I will now also keep my eyes out for this player Yuan. Good luck, buddy. We'll also try our best to find and kill this player Yuan. But because almost every player is currently looking for him, it won't be that easy. The players said to him with bright smiles all over their faces, and they left the restaurant shortly later. Yuan quickly turned around and continued eating with his back soaked in cold sweat. What the hell? I am definitely not a cheater. How dare people accuse me of cheating when they don't even know anything? It was at this moment that Yuan swore to keep his identity a secret from the other players, as it would be disastrous if people knew of his real identity. And even if he was powerful enough to defeat other players, He did not want to fight every player that crosses paths with him in the future. Why have things become so complicated now? Why must I be hunted by every player in the world because I got a little bit lucky? I only want to enjoy this game like everyone else. Yuan sighed inwardly. However, this situation is something he cannot control, and he could only hope that people will soon forget about him. Meanwhile, Xiaohua and Luo Li silently stared at Yuan with a contemplating expression, almost as though they were unable to comprehend Yuan's conversation with the other players just now. However, they quickly gave up a few seconds later and continued eating as though it wasn't their concern. An hour later, Yuan rubbed his round stomach with a satisfied expression. "Ah, that was amazing." Luo Li chuckled and said to him, "What's even more amazing is Taoist Yuan's stomach. I did not think you would really eat everything, and I apologize for doubting your ability. Young lady, the bill will be 6 gold coins." The server said to her afterward. "I will have someone bring the money over later," she nodded. A few minutes later, all of the servers and even the cooks in the restaurant came outside to bow to them. "We thank young lady and her friends for their patronage," they said to them. "What should we do now, Taoist Yuan?" Luo Li asked him after they left the restaurant. "Let's return to the Lord's manor. I'm too full to do anything right now," Yuan said to her. "Very well." She nodded. Chapter 47. Cultivation Technique Improvements. Upon returning to the Lord's manor, Yuan went straight to his room with Xiaohua, while Luo Li went to brief her father about their little tour and restaurant bill. "What should we do now, Xiaohua? We have plenty of time until the Mountain Lord attacks, but I don't want to just sit around and do nothing," Yuan said to her. "Most people would cultivate during their free time, as every minute matters," she said to him. But I find cultivating normally very boring. I'm just sitting there and breathing, after all, and it'll take forever for me to reach the next level if I were to cultivate normally." Yuan sighed. Now that he needs millions upon millions of qi to reach the next level, it would take him many days, even weeks to break through a single level when his cultivation technique only absorbs 5 qi per second. Cultivation, in general, takes a very long time, Xiaohua said to him. "Once Brother Yuan reaches the higher realms, it might take you decades of cultivation time to improve a single level. But since Brother Yuan doesn't want to cultivate normally, why don't Xiaohua read her book for you?" Xiaohua then suggested. "Oh, that book," Yuan nodded. Now that he's improved his cultivation, perhaps he might learn something new this time. A few moments later, Xiaohua retrieved her book and began reading it. Yuan closed his eyes and focused on Xiaohua's gentle and innocent voice. Many minutes later, Luo Li returned to the room, but when she saw that Yuan had entered cultivation, she decided to remain outside until he was done, as it was very offensive to interrupt someone while they were cultivating, and it might even lead to internal injuries that are very difficult to heal. A few hours later, Yuan opened his eyes, feeling as though new knowledge was gushing into his head. "Your comprehension for Heaven's secret art has greatly increased. Heaven-consuming technique mastery level 1, 2. Heaven-consuming technique. Rank, divine. Mastery level 2. Description, absorbs 500 qi every second. Can only be activated during cultivation in the lotus position. Heaven-splitting sword strike mastery level 1, 2. Heaven-splitting sword strike. Rank, divine. Mastery level 2. Description, consumes 10 million qi. Must wield a sword to activate. Creates a pillar of sword light that will destroy everything that dares to block its path. 500 qi per second. That's 100 times faster than before. And I need 10 million qi to activate Heaven-splitting sword strike now. That's 1,000 times more than before." Yuan was shocked by the massive improvements to his cultivation technique. "I guess it only makes sense that you would absorb and use more qi the higher your level," he thought to himself. Seeing the formidable aura around Yuan, Xiaohua could easily tell that he'd once again improved as a cultivator. Just what is Brother Yuan's limit? Does he even have a limit to his talent? Xiaohua pondered to herself. Every cultivator under heaven is either born with or without talent, and for those born with talents, regardless of how much, there is always a limitation to their talents as set by the mighty heavens. No, there exist people who do not have a limit to their talents, but those people are. "Xiaohua, my understanding of the cultivation technique has improved slightly," Yuan suddenly said to her. I can now absorb more qi with the cultivation technique. Xiaohua quickly tossed her thoughts to the side and said, Brother Yuan is always improving, so Xiaohua is not surprised. Meanwhile, when Luo Li heard the two of them talking, she knocked on the door and said, Are you finished with cultivation, Taoist Yuan? Eh, don't tell me you have been standing outside this entire time. Yuan quickly went to open the door for her. I did not want to bother Taoist Yuan, after all. She nodded. Anyway, I have some news for Taoist Yuan. We have new information on the Mountain Lord, and it might begin the invasion as early as tomorrow morning. I understand. He nodded. One more thing. My father would like to invite you for dinner later, but it's okay to refuse because we know that you might still be full from the restaurant earlier today. Dinner? That sounds great. Yuan immediately accepted their invitation regardless of how full his stomach was, as he would never turn down a meal as long as it wasn't only soup. That's great. I will let my father know, Luo Li said before disappearing again. After Luo Li left, Yuan said to Xiaohua, I'm also going to leave for a bit. If she returns before I do, just let her know. Xiaohua nodded and watched as Yuan disappeared into thin air right before her eyes. Silence filled the room after Yuan logged off, and Xiaohua pondered with curiosity. How does Brother Yuan disappear and appear as he pleases like that? He shouldn't know any teleporting techniques. And where does he go? However, after pondering for a few seconds, almost as though something inside her head had flipped, Xiaohua immediately lost all interest in Yuan's sudden disappearance and treated it as though it was only normal. Meanwhile, after logging off the game, Yuan patiently waited for Yuro until she entered the room and began doing her daily routine. Yuro, I'm currently doing an important quest, and even though it might not happen until tomorrow morning, I'll be staying in the game for the night just in case, Yuan said to her. Oh, so you're finally playing the game seriously, brother? Okay, I'll let you play, but you really shouldn't do this too often. I don't want your health to weaken because of it. Ha ha ha, you worry too much, Yuro. I have never felt better ever since I started playing the game, and there are even times when I feel as though my body is filled with energy. Of course, the only thing limiting me is my pathetic condition. Sometime later, after being cleaned and fed by Yuro, Yuan returned to the game. Chapter 48, In-Game Event. A few minutes after Yuan returned to the game, Luo Li knocked on the door. Taoist Yuan, dinner is ready, she said to him. I'm coming, Yuan said before coming out of the room with Xiaohua. Luo Li then led the two of them into a large room with a long table in the middle where the rest of her family was waiting. Thank you for accepting our invitation, Taoist Yuan, Lord Luo said to him after seeing him. No, I should be thanking you for inviting me. Please, have a seat. Lord Luo gestured to the two empty seats beside him, and two servants pulled out the chair for them. Thank you. After taking a seat, Lord Luo clapped his hands. A few seconds later, the servants began carrying dishes after dishes into the room. I have heard about your impressive appetite to eat an entire menu, and made sure to have enough food so that you don't have to worry about holding back, Lord Luo said to him with a bright smile as the table was being filled to the brim with food. They began eating shortly afterward. The Luo family watched with wide eyes as Yuan consumed the food on the table as though he was a food monster. Even Luo Li, who had seen him eat before, couldn't help but stare at Yuan with wide eyes. How can he still eat like that when he'd already consumed so much not too long ago? Where does the food go after entering his stomach? It's almost as though there is a black hole inside his stomach which could consume even the entire world. Meanwhile, Lord Luo was beginning to worry about what might happen to their family's finances if they had to feed Yuan like this every day. A little over an hour later, after they finished eating and the servants carried away the empty dishes, Lord Luo looked at Yuan and said to him, Taoist Yuan, now that dinner is finished, why don't we have a little conversation? My family would like to ask you some questions. Since you have satisfied my stomach, I don't mind answering a few questions. What would you like to know? Yuan said. Do you have any hobbies? Luo Li was the first to ask him. It may sound simple, but I enjoy doing anything that requires me to exert myself. Whether it be hunting monsters or simply walking around town, I enjoy it all. I think it's wonderful, Luo Li said with an alluring smile. I will ask the next question, said Luo Ming. Since you mentioned hunting monsters, what's the strongest beast you've defeated so far? The strongest beasts, huh? I defeated a demonic spider that was at the 4th level spirit warrior realm not long before arriving at this place. Yuan said in a calm voice. A demonic spider? Luo Ming exclaimed in a shocked voice. Why, you are stronger than I'd expected, Taoist Yuan. Even the elders at my sect would have trouble fighting a demonic spider. The other people in the room had similar expressions as Luo Ming after learning that Yuan had defeated a demonic spider. If only they knew that he'd obliterated it with a single strike. A few moments later, Luo Ling asked him, You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, Taoist Yuan. But do you have a Tao companion? The room instantly turned silent with everyone's gaze staring intensely at Yuan, especially Luo Li, whose heart was beating loudly. Tao companion? Yuan lifted his eyebrows at this unfamiliar term. I'm sorry, but what is a Tao companion? Albeit a little bit surprised by his question, Luo Ling responded with a smile on her face. A Tao companion is someone you walk the cultivation path with for the rest of your life. A spouse, so to speak. Like a wife? Then no, I do not have someone like that. I am way too young to be thinking about something like that. Yuan shook his head. What are you talking about, Taoist Yuan? You are already eligible for marriage at the age of 16. Then what about a girlfriend? Surely, someone as talented and handsome as you should have one or two already, right? Luo Ling continued to ask him with a brave expression on her face. No, I also don't have someone like that, he said with a bitter smile on his face. I am in no position to have someone like that in my life, as I do not want them to waste their time on someone in my condition, and I'm sure that nobody would be willing to accept me if they knew about my real identity. Yuan sighed inwardly. Even if someone in the real world would be willing to take care of him, Yuan wasn't sure that he'd be able to endure the guilt, as his heart is already filled to the brim with guilt for making Yu take care of him. I see. I'm sorry if my questions made you feel awkward, Taoist Yuan. Luo Ling apologized to him afterward. She then turned to look at Luo Li and winked at her. Seeing this, Luo Li blushed. Anyway, just as Lord Luo opened his mouth to speak, the door slammed open before a guard came rushing into the room. Who dares? Do you have no manners? Lord Luo shouted at the guard who came into the room. However, the guard ignored his anger and quickly said, Please excuse my sudden entrance, Lord Luo. This is an emergency. There are thousands of beasts from the Pang Mountain rushing here as we speak. What? Lord Luo immediately stood up with a surprised face. The Mountain Lord is already attacking us. I was told they wouldn't attack until tomorrow morning. This is too sudden. Whatever. I will deal with whoever gave us the intel after we settle this situation. Lord Luo then turned to look at Yuan and said, I deeply apologize for this, especially when you just filled your stomach, but it appears the Mountain Lord has already begun its revenge. Yuan shook his head and said, This just means I have more energy to fight with. Gather all of the guards and prepare to defend the city. Lord Luo then ordered the guard. Once the guard disappeared, Lord Luo said to his children, I want the 3 of you to follow Taoist Yuan and defend the city with him. I am going to deal with the Mountain Lord. Yes, father, they nodded. A few moments later, Lord Luo also rushed outside. Please take care of us, Taoist Yuan. The Luo family bowed to Yuan afterward. Sometime later, a notification appeared above Pang City. Event, Mountain Lord's invasion, has begun. Slay the monsters attacking Pang City to receive points. The player with the highest points at the end will receive a special reward. An in-game event. Yuan looked at the notification in the sky with his interest peaked. Chapter 49, Domineering Presence. After seeing the notification on the sky and not wanting to let the others get ahead of him in points, Yuan quickly said to the others, Let's go. Yuan and the Luo family proceeded to run outside the city gates, where hundreds of people were already gathered. There were around 100 people wearing similar-looking armors, whilst the rest of the people there were wearing common and unmatching gear. It was obvious who the players were and who were the NPCs at a glance. There are so many players here. Yuan was slightly surprised, even feeling a little nervous, worried that he might reveal his identity once he starts fighting. Xiaohua. He suddenly called for her, and he asked her, Do you have any equipment that covers the face? Something like a mask. Not even questioning why he needed it, Xiaohua nodded before rummaging her storage pouch. Here you go, brother Yuan. Xiaohua handed him an elegant-looking black face mask that could cover his entire face. "Thank you, Xiaohua. I will return it to you later," he said as he accepted the mask. Black Jade Mask. Grade, Spirit. Quality, Peak. Mental Strength Required, 2,500. Description, a profound mask that increases your mental defense by 5,000. Just like the sword, Brother Yuan can keep it, Xiaohua said to him afterward. Yuan nodded, and immediately after wearing the mask, he could feel his mind easing and feeling more tranquil. The Luo family wondered why Yuan felt the need to hide his face, but they didn't have time to ask him as someone there suddenly shouted with excitement, "The monsters are here!" Once the people there heard that, they all retrieved their weapons and prepared to fight. Very soon, hundreds of monsters between the 3rd level and 7th level Spirit Apprentice could be seen rushing towards the city walls. Defend the city. The guards roared loudly, causing the atmosphere to instantly change, and the place there quickly became a battlefield with both the NPCs and the players engaged in fights with the monsters. Yuan and the Luo family also began attacking the monsters. +2 points. +3 points. +1 point. After Yuan swiftly beheaded 3 monsters with only normal sword techniques, he rushed to the front lines where there were barely any people but filled with monsters and began slaying even more monsters with ease, each with a single sword strike. The monsters that were slain by Yuan did not even have a chance to scream before becoming a corpse, and when the Luo family saw how effortlessly he was slaying these monsters, their eyes widened with admiration and awe. Granted, Yuan was a spirit warrior fighting monsters way below his level, but the way he so effortlessly executed the monsters was nothing short of perfection, and it was almost like a walk in the park for him. However, it was not just the Luo family that were surprised by Yuan's prowess, as the other players have also taken notice of his domineering presence on the battlefield. Who the hell is that single-man army? He's killing the monsters as though they are defenseless chickens. He's probably some expert NPC assisting with the situation. Forget about him. Look at the little girl next to him. She's killing the monsters with her bare hands, and she's even making it look so effortless. The people there watched as Xiaohua slapped every monster that dared to attack her with a single slap to the face, shocking everybody there greatly. +1 point. +2 points. +2 points. +1 point. +3 points. Points continuously flowed for Yuan even when Xiaohua killed the monsters, racking up over 200 points within mere minutes. Meanwhile, the other players were having trouble dealing with just a single monster, and most of them had less than 10 points even after many minutes. How many monsters are there? Yuan cried inwardly after slaying over 500 monsters, but was still surrounded by them. He also wanted to use Heaven's Splitting Sword Strike to clear the mobs faster, but he did not want to destroy the place in the process, as the Pang City was right behind him, so he could only give up on such thoughts and defeat the monsters without any flashy attacks. Daoist Yuan, the beasts coming here are growing stronger. The Mountain Lord should be near, Luo Ling suddenly said to him. The Mountain Lord? If we kill it, won't its subordinates stop attacking the city? Yes, and our father should be fighting the Mountain Lord right now. Yuan nodded. Then let's continue defending the city until he defeats the Mountain Lord. Bloody Sword Strike. The sword in Yuan's hand flickered, and 3 more monsters were slain in a single strike. Your comprehension with Bloody Sword Strike has reached a new level. Bloody Sword Strike Mastery Level 2, 3. Bloody Sword Strike. Rank, Earth. Mastery Level 3. Description, consumes 900,000 Qi. Must wield a sword to activate. A technique from the Blood Sect. After killing a few more hundred monsters with the sword, Yuan's comprehension improved again. Your mastery with the sword has improved significantly. You have learned Novice Sword Mastery. Novice Sword Mastery. Description, slightly improves your control with the sword by 15% and increases all damage dealt with swords by 10%. Your enemies will feel more pain from your sword attacks as your damage increases. Requires no activation. Many minutes of fighting later, as both players and NPCs were beginning to run out of energy, someone wearing Pang City's armor approached the Luo family and shouted at them in a panicked voice. Young ladies. Young master. It's about your father, Lord Luo. He's currently in a critical condition after fighting with the Mountain Lord. What? What happened to our father? And what about the Mountain Lord? Luo Ming quickly shouted back. After taking a deep breath, the guard continued. Lord Luo. He lost the fight against the Mountain Lord. However, he barely managed to escape with his life and is currently being treated by the doctors. And while his life is not in danger, he cannot continue fighting. How could this be? Luo Li covered her mouth in shock, feeling lightheaded after hearing such news. Does this mean the Mountain Lord is still going on a rampage? If we don't defeat it soon, the monsters will eventually overwhelm the people here and destroy the city. Luo Ming said with a frown. We will have to worry about our father later. Right now, we must defeat the Mountain Lord. Luo Ling then turned to look at Yuan, who was still slaying monsters not far away from them. She then ran to him and said, Taoist Yuan, we've just received news that our father lost to the Mountain Lord. What? Is your father okay? Yuan said in a surprised tone. She nodded and said, his life is not in danger, but he won't be able to fight the Mountain Lord anymore, and you are the only one here that's strong enough to fight it. Please, help us defeat the Mountain Lord. I will do anything to repay you afterward. Yuan did not even need to think before nodding his head. Okay, I will fight the Mountain Lord. Chapter 50, Heavenly Domain. Lead us to the Mountain Lord, Luo Ling said to the guard. However, before they leave, Yuan said to Xiaohua, I alone should be enough to handle the Mountain Lord. Can you stay behind to make sure the people here aren't overwhelmed by the monsters? You can come to me afterward. The people there were already looking exhausted, and he cannot imagine what might happen to the defense here if he were to leave so abruptly. Xiaohua nodded and said, Xiaohua will take care of the beasts here. Thank you, Xiaohua. The two of you also stay here and help her, Luo Ling said to her siblings. Yuan then followed Luo Ling and the guard to the Mountain Lord whilst Luo Li and Luo Ming stayed behind with Xiaohua to assist the people. Once Yuan was gone, Luo Li bowed to Xiaohua. Senior Xiao, please take care of us. Xiaohua nodded, and she turned to look at the hundreds of monsters on the battlefield. It's going to take forever if I kill them one at a time. She thought to herself. Brother Yuan said that I can use my powers as long as I am conscious of the surroundings and I don't destroy any nature. Tell the guards the retreat. Xiaohua suddenly said to Luo Li. Right away. Luo Li nodded, not daring to doubt her words after seeing the serious expression on her face. Retreat. Guards. Retreat back to the gates. Luo Li suddenly shouted loudly. The guards quickly rushed back to the gates after hearing her words, even feeling relieved that they don't have to fight any longer. However, the other players were left dumbfounded by this unexpected turn of events. What the heck? What about the monsters? Are you trying to make us do all of the fighting, you damn NPC? Whatever. That just means more points for me. Despite the players' anger, Luo Li ignored them and said to Xiaohua, Senior Xiao, the guards have retreated to the gates. Is this good enough for you? Xiaohua nodded and took a deep breath before closing her eyes. A few moments of silence later, she slowly opened her eyes, and her gaze flickered with a golden light that seemed to carry the will of heaven within. She calmly raised her right arm into the air before pressing her palms down in a profound manner. Heavenly Domain. Xiaohua mumbled in a low voice. Boom. Xiaohua's Spirit King cultivation base suddenly exploded, causing the dark sky to brighten, and the entire place became filled with a golden light, almost as though they were bathed in sunlight. What is this golden light? What is going on? Both the players and the guards were baffled by this phenomenon. In the midst of the players' confusion, the monsters suddenly began screaming in pain, sounding as though they were being slaughtered before. Splat! The monsters within the golden light, within Xiaohua's heavenly domain, were crushed into meat paste, almost as though an invisible boulder had suddenly fallen on them, squashing them flat. The place turned dead silent after the people there witnessed this shocking scene and Xiaohua's terrifying prowess. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Yuan was shocked when he suddenly gained thousands of points at once. Plus 1,169 points. Plus 1,014 points. Plus 2,841 points. What the heck? Where did all of these points come from? I hope Xiaohua didn't go overboard again. Yuan cried inwardly. There's the Mountain Lord, the guard suddenly said. That's the Mountain Lord? Yuan was speechless when he saw a group of guards trying to fight a massive 7-meter-tall black bear in the distance. Luo Ling nodded with a serious expression on her face. Indeed, that's the Mountain Lord, the Black Beast, and it seems to have advanced to the 6th-level Spirit Warrior realm since the last time we saw it. No wonder why my father lost to it. Do you think you can defeat it? Luo Ling turned to look at him with a worried expression, as she was worried that she was asking too much from him. I will try my best, Yuan responded a moment later. Don't push yourself too hard, Taoist Yuan. If you cannot defeat it, just run away. How can I possibly do such a thing knowing that the city might fall if I don't defeat it here? Yuan quickly shook his head. Taoist Yuan. Luo Ling looked at him with a passionate gaze, looking like a child before her hero or a teenager before her idol. A few moments later, once they were close enough, Luo Ling shouted at the guards that were already at their limit. Get back. Reinforcement is here. Young lady. A blissful expression appeared on the guards' faces when they saw Luo Ling's face and the masked expert beside her, who was emitting a profound aura. I will assist you to the best of my ability, Taoist Yuan, she said to him after they arrived before the Mountain Lord. Yuan nodded and stared at the Mountain Lord with a serious gaze through the holes in his mask. What a terrifying gaze and a bloodthirsty aura. This Mountain Lord is, without doubt, stronger than the demonic spider. Despite facing such a threatening opponent, Yuan was feeling calmer than when he fought the demonic spider. Perhaps it was due to the Black Jade Mask's effect, or maybe he was simply getting used to these situations, but his mind was completely tranquil at this moment. When the Mountain Lord saw Yuan's confident aura, it narrowed its gaze and silently stared at him. A few seconds later, it spoke in a grim voice. No matter how many experts you humans bring, I will tear down this city and avenge my son. Roar. The Mountain Lord released a deafening roar before it rushed at Yuan and Luo Ling with red eyes filled with killing intent, even causing the ground to tremble with each step it took. Chapter 51 Achieving First Place. Here it comes, Taoist Yuan. Luo Ling quickly said to him. Yuan nodded and raised his sword as the Mountain Lord lifted its massive claws and swung at them. Boom. Yuan felt as though a large boulder was trying to crush him when he blocked the Mountain Lord's strike. I will back you up. Luo Ling used this chance to thrust her sword at the Mountain Lord's face, but alas, with a single roar from the Mountain Lord, Luo Ling was sent flying away from the tremendous air pressure. Luo Ling, are you okay? Yuan asked her whilst he pushed the Mountain Lord's claw to the side. I am not hurt, she quickly responded. Get lost, you human ant. You don't have the qualifications to meddle in our battle. The Mountain Lord roared at her. I understand that you are angry because of what happened to your child, but do you really have to kill so many innocent people and destroy an entire city for revenge? Yuan suddenly said. Don't try to persuade me, brat. I will kill everyone in this city, even if it's the last thing I do, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. The Mountain Lord roared again, and its aura began growing more powerful and tyrannical. If that's the case, then watch me stop you. Yuan's eyes flickered with a bright light and his sword began trembling, almost as though it was filled with excitement. Bloody sword strike. A red light flashed before the Mountain Lord's eyes, and before it could even react, Yuan's sword was already directly in front of its eyes. The Mountain Lord quickly closed its eyelids to protect its eyes with its steel-like skin, but alas, Yuan's sword was much sharper than it had anticipated and pierced right through its tough skin. Aeg! The Mountain Lord screamed in pain as blood squirted from its eyes. Che! I couldn't reach the brain and kill it in one shot. Yuan sucked his teeth after pulling his sword out of the Mountain Lord's face with effort. Visit l/itno/forward/pub/com for a better experience. I will kill you. I will fucking kill you. The Mountain Lord roared before rushing at Yuan with its claws swinging recklessly. Seeing this, Yuan immediately focused on dodging its strikes, feeling the tremendous pressure from each strike as it brushed by his face. If the Mountain Lord successfully hit him even once, he will most likely turn into meat paste and die. After dodging a dozen strikes, Yuan finally saw an opportunity to strike back and quickly stabbed his sword at the Mountain Lord's uninjured eye. Aeg! How dare you! Without its sights, the Mountain Lord was severely crippled in its movements and ability to defend itself from Yuan's incoming attacks. It sucks without the ability to see, right? I know that feeling very well. And I am giving you one last chance to leave before I really kill you, Yuan said, feeling that it was only right to show mercy to the Mountain Lord who had lost its child to a human even though it was a monster, not to mention that it was once peaceful with humans. Even if I leave today, my hatred for humans and for this place will never subdue. Unless you kill me today, I will definitely return for revenge. Then you leave me with no other choice. Yuan narrowed his eyes with a resolute feeling, and he tightened his grasp on the sword. Bloody sword strike. Yuan rushed at the Mountain Lord before thrusting his sword forward, and because the Mountain Lord could not see, it was unable to react, allowing Yuan to pierce its neck with ease. Congratulations. Player Yuan has become the first player to kill the elite boss, Black Beast. You have subdued the Lord of Pang Mountain. Plus 10 fame. Plus 5,000 points. You have successfully defended Pang City from the Mountain Lord's invasion. An announcement announcing the end of the event suddenly appeared above Pang City for all players to see after Mountain Lord was slain by Yuan, followed by another announcement a few moments later. Player Yuan has amassed a grand total of 11,690 points during this event, obtaining the most points out of all participants, and will receive a special reward for such an achievement. When the other players saw the familiar name, Player Yuan, they immediately began shouting in excitement. It's Player Yuan. He's actually in this place right now. Where is he? Who is Player Yuan? Holy shit. 11,000 points. I only have 300 points after killing over 100 monsters. Just how on earth did he obtain so many points in such a short time? It was at that moment the players there realized something. Wait a second. There's only one person who can possibly have so many points. That little girl who used some overpowered technique to kill most of the monsters here. Now that you mentioned it, where is that little girl? Impossible. Player Yuan is actually a little girl. It all makes sense now. That golden light must have been a divine grade technique. No wonder why it was so powerful, even overpowered. This new information is definitely going to shock the world. Quick, someone hurry and post it online. The world must know about this as soon as possible. Ha. To think that we've been wasting our time looking for a male player when we should have been looking for a little girl this entire time. This is hilarious. The people there began logging off to spread the news on the internet, completely unaware of the chaos this misunderstanding will cause in the future. Meanwhile, the real player Yuan was silently staring at the Mountain Lord's corpse, feeling slightly guilty for killing it, as any normal human would go crazy from sorrow if their children were killed. I cannot thank you enough for protecting the Pang City and the innocent citizens that live here, Taoist Yuan. Luo Ling had unknowingly appeared behind him and said to him with her head lowered. Thank you for defeating the Mountain Lord, Senior Yuan. The guards also bowed to him at a 90-degree angle. There's no need to thank me. Although it had a valid reason for wanting revenge, I could not allow an entire city to fall and thousands of innocent people to die because of it, Yuan said to them. A few moments later, Xiaohua returned to his side and said, Well done, Brother Yuan. You too, Xiaohua. Taoist Yuan, the guards will handle everything from here. Let's return to my father's side for now. He needs to know that the city is no longer in danger, Luo Ling said to him sometime later. While Luo Ling led Yuan back to the Lord's manor, the real world was in utter chaos from the new information regarding Player Yuan that had just appeared on the internet. Shocking news. Player Yuan is actually female, and a little girl at that. New information regarding Player Yuan has surfaced. Player Yuan is currently at Pang City. The new information on Player Yuan shocked the whole world collectively. However, not everyone was willing to believe this new information despite the convincing evidence from the players that had participated in defending Pang City, as it was simply too unbelievable that some little girl without any background could possibly be the #1 player in the world. There were even some people who wanted to see for themselves whether this information was true. So they began making their way towards Pang City regardless of how far away they were from the place at the moment. Chapter 52 Pang City's Hero. Father, are you okay? Luo Ling went straight to her father's room, where he was being treated after returning home. Linger, why are you here? What happened to defending the city? What about the mountain lord? Lord Luo asked them with an anxious face while laying on the bed with bloodied bandages all over his body. Please calm down and listen to me. Father, everything has been resolved by Taoist Yuan. He not only defended the city gates from the invasion, but even defeated the mountain lord by himself. The city is safe. Luo Ling explained the situation to him with a bright face. What? Is that true? Our Pang city is no longer in danger. Lord Luo's eyes flickered with emotions after hearing the news. Yes, father. It's all true, so you can rest and focus on healing your injuries. Luo Ling said to him. I don't know what to say, Taoist Yuan. I really don't know how to thank you for your contribution. If not for my condition, I would even kowtow to you right now. Lord Luo said to him with a grateful expression. Your feelings are more than enough, Yuan said with a smile. No, that cannot do. I must thank you properly. An idea suddenly flashed inside his head, and he quickly said, I know. You can have my daughter. And if Luo Li alone is not good enough for you, I can also give you Luo Ling here. And if you don't want to make them your wife, they can be your concubines. Yuan looked at Lord Luo with a baffled expression, but before he could even respond, Lord Luo looked at Luo Ling and asked her, What do you think, Lingo? Are you willing to serve Taoist Yuan even as a concubine? You probably won't find someone like him again. Wait, eh? And as Yuan opened his mouth, Luo Ling bashfully nodded her head with a rosy face. I am willing, she mumbled in a low but clear voice. The door opened a second later, and the rest of the Luo family entered the room. Father, how are your injuries? Luo Ming asked him without having a single clue as to what kind of situation he'd just walked into. Father, Luo Li also approached the bed with a worried expression on her face. However, instead of telling them that he was okay to calm them down, Lord Luo instead looked at Luo Li and said to her, I have already heard about the situation from Linger, and I am thinking about giving your hand and Linger's to Taoist Yuan for saving our city, and your elder sister has already agreed to become his concubine. What? Luo Li immediately looked at Luo Ling with a shocked face. I'm sorry, little sister. I know that you already have feelings for Taoist Yuan, but I have also fallen for him. Elder sister. Luo Li looked at her with a perplexed feeling in her heart. However, in the midst of their conversation, Yuan loudly cleared his throat and said, Excuse me. I am flattered by your feelings, but I have already said that I am too young to marry, much less two of you. That's fine, Taoist Yuan. If you want to marry them in a few years, they can wait for you. I can also assure you that they have never been in a relationship before, so they are still maidens. Lord Luo quickly said, clearly adamant about giving his daughters to him as a reward for saving the city. That's not what I am trying to say. Are we not good enough for you, Taoist Yuan? Luo Ling suddenly asked him with a disheartened expression. I never said that. Yuan quickly shook his head, feeling slightly overwhelmed by the situation as he has never been in this kind of situation before. If Taoist Yuan does not feel comfortable with us now, we are willing to wait until you are ready to accept us however long that might take, even if it's only as your concubines. Luo Li said to him a moment later. Yuan was speechless. Why do they want to be with him so much? Or are they programmed to like whoever saves the city? What the heck even is a concubine? Yuan cried inwardly. While Yuan was pondering in silence, Xiaohua spoke in a calm voice. Brother Yuan is destined to become a great figure who will rule the cultivation world in future, and there will be no lack of women who will want to be with him. Xiaohua won't speak of your qualifications, but it won't be long before Brother Yuan challenges the stairway to heaven, and once that happens, who knows if you'll still be alive by the time he returns here. What? Taoist Yuan is going to challenge the stairway to heaven. Everyone in the room was shocked to hear Xiaohua's words, but Yuan couldn't understand why. What even is this stairway to heaven? So we are underestimating Taoist Yuan even now. To think he'd be brave enough to participate in the stairway to heaven. Luo Ming said with an awkward smile. If Taoist Yuan really plans on climbing the stairway to heaven, we will only become a burden for you. I'm sorry, Taoist Yuan, but you can forget about our conversation just now. Luo Ling released a deep sigh. However, Luo Li's gaze remained resolved, and she said, Taoist Yuan, if you still remember me by the time your adventure ends, please do visit this place again. I will wait for you until my last breath. Seeing the sincere emotions in her gaze, Yuan couldn't help but nod his head. Although I don't know what will happen in the future, I definitely won't forget about you or my experience in this place, Yuan said with an innocent smile. The next time we meet, let's eat together again, okay? It's a promise, Taoist. No, brother Yuan. Luo Li nodded with slightly teary eyes. Don't forget about me neither, okay? Luo Ling also said to him. I won't. He nodded still with a smile on his face. Congratulations. Because of your massive contributions during Mountain Lord's invasion, you have been awarded the unique title Pang City's Hero. Pang City's Hero. Description: bearing the title of hero, your reputation within Pang City will always be at the maximum, and your overall cultivation speed will increase by 10%. Luo Li has been added to your bond. Luo Li's bond level has increased to acquaintance. Luo Li's bond level has increased to friend. Luo Li's bond level has increased to intimate. Congratulations. Your bond level with Luo Li has reached intimate. You have gained the following effect from Luo Li's bond level. Luo Li's adoration. Luo Li's adoration increases your charm by 10 and overall damage by 15%. Charm increases your overall attractiveness. Overall damage. All of the damage you inflict to others will feel more painful. Luo Ling has been added to your bond. Luo Ling's bond level has increased to acquaintance. Luo Ling's bond level has increased to friend. Luo Ling's bond level has increased to intimate. You have gained the following effect from Luo Ling's bond level. Luo Ling's adoration. Luo Ling's adoration increases your charm by 20 and luck by 10. Luck increases the chances of monsters dropping their monster cores. Pang City has been added to your associations. Because of your heroic actions that save the city, your relationship with Pang City has increased significantly. Because of your bond level with Luo Li, daughter of Luo family, your relationship with Pang City has increased significantly. Because of your bond level with Luo Ling, daughter of Luo family, your relationship with Pang City has increased significantly. Due to your actions at Pang City, your fame has increased by 50. Your relationship with Pang City has reached the maximum level. Due to your relationship with Pang City, all monsters within a 1,000-mile radius from Pang City will drop their monster cores twice as often. Once the barrage of notifications had stopped for Yuan, he said to the Luo family, I will stay in this city for one more day just in case the monsters return. Please, you can stay here as long as you want. I wouldn't even mind if you lived here forever. Lord Luo laughed loudly despite the pain in his body. By the way, I will properly award you for helping us once the preparations are complete. Lord Luo then said to him, You really don't have to. There's no need to be humble. You are already like family to us, anyway, and you can just think of it as an early wedding gift or something like that. Ha ha. Lord Luo laughed again. Cough. Fuck. That hurts. Lord Luo cursed in a painful voice after laughing too hard. Get some rest already, father. We will take care of everything for you. Luo Ling said to him. Thank you. He mumbled before falling asleep a few moments later. You can rest in your room, brother Yuan. If you need anything, just let me know and I will do my best to assist you. Luo Li said to him with rosy cheeks before she quickly walked towards the door. See you later, brother Yuan. Luo Ming casually waved at him. Once Luo Li and Luo Ming left the room, Luo Ling approached his ears and whispered to him. If my sister is not enough for you, you can call for me afterward. She winked at him in a seductive manner before leaving the room, completely unaware that Yuan was too innocent to understand the meaning behind her words. Chapter 53 Starry Abyss. Did you hear? Player Yuan is currently at Pang City. Where is that? It's only 30 miles away from here. Want to go over there and take a look? There will be many other people who will be going there to see for themselves whether player Yuan is really a little girl or not. Let's go. After news of player Yuan spread throughout the internet, thousands of players began making their way towards Pang City in hopes of seeing player Yuan, who was rumored to be a cute little girl. Of course, Yuan himself was completely unaware of the misunderstanding about him that had spread throughout the internet, and he was silently cultivating in the Lord's manor. A few hours have passed since the Mountain Lord's invasion, and Luo Li took a deep breath before knocking on the door to Yuan's room. Knock, knock. Brother Yuan, it's Luo Li, she said to him from outside. You can come inside. Yuan responded a moment later. Were you cultivating? I hope I didn't interrupt your cultivation. Luo Li said after seeing the spiritual energy that was gathered around him. It's okay. I was about to take a break anyway, Yuan said as he got off the bed, feeling a little bit stiff from sitting in the same position for many hours. Do you need something from me? He asked her a moment later. Quite the opposite, actually. We have finished preparing the reward for your contribution during the Mountain Lord's invasion, and we would like you to receive it now, she said. Okay. Yuan nodded before following her outside, with Xiao Hua by his side. A few minutes later, they entered this massive long room with Lord Luo sitting on a large chair at the end of the room, and he was still wrapped in bandages. Luo Ming and Luo Ling were also in the same room, as were all of the servants in the building and a few guards. Once Luo Li brought Yuan to the front, Lord Luo spoke in a clear voice. Taoist Yuan, I have said this before, but I will say it again. Neither I, nor this city can thank you enough for what you have done for this place. And one can even say that you are the sole reason why this city and the thousands of citizens that live here are still alive right now. Although this reward isn't much, it's the most precious item our Pang City can afford. Visit l/i/gitnovelp/ub.com for the best novel reading experience. Lord Luo suddenly clapped his hands, and two servants approached Yuan with two boxes in their grasp. Once they opened the boxes, Lord Luo continued to speak. For your contributions, from defending the Pang City from thousands of beasts to defeating the Mountain Lord, my Luo family shall award you with 1 million gold coins and our Luo family's heirloom, the Starry Abyss. Inside one of the boxes was a small storage pouch that contained 1 million gold coins, whilst the other bigger box contained a beautiful dagger with a golden handle and a pitch-black blade that seemed to be made from some kind of jade. The Starry Abyss has been passed down in my family for over 10 generations, but nobody in the family has ever been able to wield it, almost as though it has its own consciousness. Perhaps you, Taoist Yuan, who will be climbing the stairway to heaven one day, might be able to wield it. A dagger? But I have only ever practiced with a sword. Yuan looked at the flickering black dagger that appeared to contain an entire universe within with a dazed expression, feeling some kind of connection to it. Brother Yuan, that's a soul weapon, Xiaohua suddenly said to him in a low voice, and when Yuan turned to look at her, he could only see a shocked expression on her face. However, since this wasn't the time or situation to ask her for an explanation, Yuan could only wait until later to ask her. Thank you very much for your gift. I swear that I will keep it safe no matter what. Yuan humbly bowed to them before he accepted the gift, as he learned that bowing in this world meant a display of respect after seeing it so many times. Congratulations. You have obtained a soul weapon. Once Yuan accepted the gifts, an announcement appeared in the sky for everyone but Yuan to see. Congratulations. Player Yuan has become the first player to obtain a soul weapon. However, the players were puzzled by the announcement, as this is their first time hearing about soul weapons. What even is a soul weapon, and how does it differ from regular weapons? Once the rewards have been distributed, Lord Luo then said to Yuan, by the way, we have collected all of the monster cores from Mountain Lord's invasion. We were able to collect 241 monster cores at the Spirit Apprentice level and the Mountain Lord's Spirit Warrior Realm monster core, and I'd also like to give them all to you, as you were the one who killed most of them, anyway. However, Yuan said, you can have the Spirit Apprentice level monster cores. I only need the Spirit Warrior monster core. Are you sure, Taoist Yuan? If you sold them, you could earn some more gold. He nodded and said, 1 million gold coins is more than enough for me right now. If anything, I'd like to donate those monster cores to the guards who also risked their lives defending the city yesterday. When the guards in the room heard Yuan's words, their faces immediately brightened, and they silently thanked Yuan in their hearts. I understand. If that's your request, I will leave the Mountain Lord's monster core with you and share the rest with the guards. Lord Luo nodded with an approving smile on his face. Good-natured cultivators like Yuan are hard to come by nowadays, and he cannot be any happier to know that his daughters might be taken care of by someone like him in the future. Sometime later, Lord Luo said to him, Breakfast is almost done, Taoist Yuan. Are you interested? Of course. He nodded without hesitation. Chapter 54 Soul Weapons. Once breakfast finished and Yuan returned to his room, he asked Xiaohua, "What's a soul weapon?" Soul weapons are, as its name suggests, weapons that contain a soul, allowing it to have its own consciousness. They are exceedingly rare treasures, even in the higher realms, with nearly unlimited potential. And due to their uniqueness, they do not have specific grades like ordinary weapons do. It's really shocking that the Luo family would have something like this. Xiaohua explained to him. A weapon with a soul. So there's somebody inside the weapon? How does that even happen? Yuan asked, still confused about the concept. That's not quite right, brother Yuan. There's nobody in the weapon. The term soul does not actually mean there's someone in the weapon. It's just a weapon with just enough consciousness to pick their masters. Oh, so I cannot talk with it, Yuan said with a slightly disappointed expression. That might not be the case either, brother Yuan. Because soul weapons are essentially living weapons that grow stronger with their master, there's a chance its soul can evolve in the future, allowing it to speak. Soul weapons can grow stronger? No wonder why you say it has unlimited potential. Xiaohua nodded and said, however, in order for it to grow, brother Yuan must be able to wield it first, and soul weapons are not easy to control. Because regardless of your cultivation base, if the soul weapon does not recognize you as its master, it will be no different from an ordinary weapon, perhaps even worse. Yuan nodded. He then retrieved the beautiful black dagger and stared at it with a mesmerizing face. Visit Lee/GitNovelPub, C/OM for a better experience. Starry Abyss. Level 0. Rank, Soul Weapon. Growth rate, very slow. Requirement. Description. A beautiful dagger with an unknown origin. Appears to contain its own universe within the blade. How do I get it to recognize me? Yuan asked her a moment later. Brother Yuan can try feeding it some of your blood to see whether it will recognize you or not. Xiaohua suggested. Feed it my blood? How much blood? A few drops should be enough, she said. Yuan nodded and took a deep breath before pricking his finger with the tip of the starry abyss, feeding it a few drops of his own blood. The moment Yuan's blood touched the dagger, his blood sunk into the dagger's blade, and Yuan could see his blood being absorbed by the flickering stars inside the blade. A few seconds later, the dagger began trembling. What is going on, Xiaohua? Yuan asked her with a nervous expression. It's reacting to your blood, brother Yuan. There's a good chance it will recognize you. Quickly, feed it more of your blood. She urged him with excitement on her face. Yuan nodded and squeezed a few more drops of blood onto the shaking dagger. As the dagger absorbed more of Yuan's blood, the trembling grew stronger, and the dagger itself even started heating up. It's burning me. Yuan dropped the dagger when it became unbearably hot to hold. However, as though gravity stopped working, the starry abyss did not fall to the floor and remained levitating before Yuan. After spending a few moments suspended in midair, the starry abyss finally stopped trembling. Try touching it, brother Yuan, Xiaohua suddenly said to him. Yuan nodded and reached for the dagger. After poking it a few times to make sure it wasn't hot, Yuan grabbed the dagger. Congratulations. You have been recognized by the starry abyss as its new master. You have obtained the title Soul Weapon Master. I did it, Xiaohua. It recognized me as its new master. Feeling some sort of connection with the dagger, Yuan said to her in excitement afterward. Xiaohua nodded with a smile. The soul weapon definitely recognizes brother Yuan's unlimited potential. How do I make it grow stronger? He asked her. Soul weapons will naturally grow strong with the master. So as long as brother Yuan continues growing stronger, so will the soul weapon. Though, if you wish to make it grow faster, you can hunt monsters with the soul weapon so it can absorb their blood and grow stronger that way. But I don't know any dagger techniques besides the 1,000-knife technique, and that's for cooking, he said. Even seemingly innocent and useless techniques like cooking techniques can become deadly in combat if used properly, brother Yuan. Yuan nodded and said, I guess I can try using the 1,000-knife technique with this dagger on weaker monsters when I have the time. Meanwhile, in Lord Luo's room, a guard said to him, Lord Luo, there has been an influx of visitors at our city ever since the Mountain Lord's invasion, and they're all cultivators. What? Do you know why? Lord Luo asked. We asked them for their reason for coming to our city, and a few of them said that they were here for player Yuan. Do they mean Taoist Yuan? But why would so many people come here just to see him? Lord Luo pondered out loud. We have also asked them that question, but they did not provide us with any good reasons, saying things like they simply wanted to meet him. Lord Luo nodded his head and said to the guard a few moments later, notify Taoist Yuan of the situation. Since these people came here for him, it'd be for the best to let him decide what we should do in this situation. Sometime later, the guard explained the situation to Yuan, who was sweating by the end. Don't let them know that I am here. In fact, tell them that I have long left the city. Yuan quickly said to the guard, who was slightly dumbfounded by his reaction, looking like he was on the run or something. It looks like Senior Yuan is more popular than we'd anticipated. The guard thought to himself. Understood. We won't let them bother Senior Yuan no matter what. The guard said to him before leaving the room. Damn, this must be due to the announcement. Now every player in the world knows that I am in this city. I must leave this place as soon as possible. Yuan sighed inwardly. However, it's too dangerous to leave now when there are so many people looking for me outside. I will leave once there are fewer people tomorrow. With that decided, Yuan returned to cultivating in silence to calm his mind. Chapter 55 Yu Rose Evaluation. Once Yuan realized that there were many people visiting Pang City to see him, he remained inside the Lord's manor until it was dark outside, and after eating dinner with the Luo family, he logged out and waited for Yuro to feed him once again. Brother, how is your progress in the game? Yuro asked him as she wiped his body with a wet towel. Fairly good. I have made some new friends and got to eat some amazing food, he responded with a smile. Oh, tell me about these new friends, she quickly asked him. Well, they are only NPCs, but they feel as real as players with almost no distinctions between them. I have heard about that too. Despite being NPCs, you will not be able to tell the difference between a player and an NPC unless they start talking about our world. Yes, it's really shocking how realistic the world is. Sometime later, once Yuro finished feeding and cleaning Yuan, she said to him, Brother, I will be able to play with you after tomorrow. Where are you currently in the game? I will be entering the game after this and see where I start so that we can arrange a meeting once I begin playing. Me? I am in a place called Pang City, he responded without thinking. Pang City. Isn't that where the famous player Yuan was last seen? Did you by any chance see this person? Yuro asked him. Player Yuan? I have no idea. Yuan quickly said. What a pity. I wanted to confirm whether the rumors are true or not. She sighed after hearing his words. Rumors? What kind of rumors? Yuan asked her with his interest intrigued. Well, there were some players that had participated in the event at Pang City who claimed that they have seen player Yuan with their own eyes, and that he is actually a she. Yuro explained to him what she read on the internet. What the heck? Yuan cried out loud in a shocked voice. Why would anyone call him a female? I was shocked too when I first saw this information online. Apparently, she's a little girl who can use a very powerful technique that wiped out hundreds of monsters in the blink of an eye. A little girl? If Yuan could feel his body right now, he would definitely be feeling the cold sweat soaking his back right now. How on earth did they mistake Xiao Hua as me? He cried inwardly. I have a feeling that this information might be wrong. Yuan suddenly said to her. What makes you say that? Yuro asked him. I don't know. It's just a feeling I am getting, he responded. What a coincidence, brother, as I am also getting a similar feeling. Yuro said. You seem very interested in this player Yuan. Why is that? Yuan asked her a moment later. Even if you weren't interested in something at first, you will eventually become intrigued by it if you keep seeing it online constantly. Though, I am more interested in this player's servant more than anything. Servant? Yuro nodded, and she continued. Because I personally don't like violence or fighting, I want to become a cultivator who has servants that will fight for me. And I cannot help but wonder what a divine grade servant might look like. Any monster with such a high grade must be extremely powerful, right? Like a phoenix or a dragon. Actually, she's human, and a little girl at that. Yuan responded to Yuro in his head. After talking for a few minutes, mostly about what kind of servants she wants once she starts playing the game, Yuro said to him, It's getting late, brother. I am going to create my character tonight, and I will tell you where I am tomorrow morning. Okay, good night, Yuro. Good night, brother. Yuro closed the lights before leaving the room. Since Yuro wants to have servants, I should ask Xiaohua tomorrow if there are any methods to tame monsters. Yuan thought to himself before falling asleep. Meanwhile, inside her room, Yuro laid on the bed with the helmet used to play Cultivation Online on her head. A brief moment after pressing the power button, Yuro could feel her consciousness slowly being transported to another place by a mysterious force. Sometime later, when she opened her eyes, an old man with a profound gaze was already staring at her a few meters away, and they appeared to be inside this white room. Hello. Yuro took the initiation to speak to him. What is your name? He asked her in a deep but clear voice. Yuro, place your hand on this. The old man pushed a crystal ball towards her. Yuro nodded and placed her hand on the crystal ball. A few moments later, her status appeared. Name, Yuro. Cultivation, none. Legacy, none. Bloodline, none. Physique, pure Yin physique. Physical strength, 62. Mental strength, 80. Soul strength, 54. Physical defense, 40. Mental defense, 90. A disappointed light flickered within the old man's eyes after he saw Yuro's status, and he sighed inwardly. Another one with just above average talent, huh? Why am I so unlucky compared to that cold woman who encountered someone with the legendary heaven refining physique? I am now certain that heaven holds some kind of grudge against me. Is everything okay, senior? Yuro asked him after seeing his dejected expression. Although you may not have amazing talents, you should be able to live a comfortable life with the pure Yin physique. Good luck, young lady. The old man said to her before disappearing into the cracked space behind him. A few seconds after the old man left, Yuro felt her consciousness being transported to another place, and she could see a large crowd of people standing around her when she opened her eyes again. Welcome to the world of cultivation, mortals. A loud and clear voice resounded above Yuro, causing her and the other people there to look up at the sky, where a handsome middle-aged man was floating in the air and staring down at them with a smile on his face. Chapter 56, Leaving Pang City. I am Elder Yang, and I will be giving you a brief introduction to our world before I let you explore this vast world by yourself, said the handsome middle-aged man floating in the sky. First and foremost, you should know about the existence of cultivators, as we have the potential to become the most powerful beings in this world, even becoming a god. I am what you call a cultivator, and as cultivators, we absorb the energy of heaven and earth that are known as qi or spiritual energy to cultivate our bodies. Once you've cultivated enough, you can do things like fly around the skies like a bird with wings, or even split the seas with your fist. The next thing you should keep in mind is that in the cultivation world, strength is all that matters. In a world where the strong eat the weak, if you do not have the power to defend yourself, you are essentially a chicken waiting to be hunted by the strong, and you can blame nobody but yourselves when that happens. Now that you know the basics of this world, allow me to bestow you the method of cultivation. Of course, this cultivation technique is only the most basic one out there. If you wish to obtain a stronger cultivation method, you must find it yourself in this vast world. With a single wave of his sleeves, every player there received the skill, basic qi gathering technique. And before I send you all away, do any of you have either a heaven rank or earth rank physique? Elder Yang looked at the players with an anticipating gaze. Yuro looked at her own status. Pure Yin physique. Rank, earth. I have an earth-ranked physique called the pure Yin physique, she said as she raised her hand. Oh, the pure Yin physique, huh? Elder Yang looked at Yuro while nodding his head with approval. Although it may only be earth-ranked, the pure Yin physique is at the top of most physiques at that rank, even beating some heaven-ranked physique in terms of usefulness. As for what it does, it simply allows you to absorb spiritual energy or qi that contains Yin elements much easier than normal people. Furthermore, your body will dispose of all impurities for you, saving you the effort of needing to dispose of them by yourself. If you ever manage to reach the higher heaven, visit the divine Yin temple. They will gladly accept someone like you as their disciple, and don't forget to mention that Elder Yang from the Supreme Yang Temple referred you to them. Yuro nodded at the cultivator's words. Nobody else has either a heaven-ranked or earth-ranked physique. What a disappointing bunch. Elder Yang shook his head in a disappointed manner before waving his sleeves again, sending the players towards the teleporters right behind them. Yuro opened her eyes again, finding herself in the middle of a busy city this time around. Where is this? Yuro proceeded to walk around the city for a few minutes, even asking the pedestrians about their location. This is the Spring City in the Eastern Continent, said one of the pedestrians. I see. Thank you. Now that Yuro was aware of her location, she continued to explore the city and experience the beauty of this world for a few more minutes before logging off and going to sleep. However, she did not fall asleep right away like usual, as the world of Cultivation Online had left a deep impression, filling her heart with excitement. I cannot wait to explore this world with brother, she thought to herself before falling asleep after much effort. Brother, are you awake? Yuro entered his room early in the morning. Yes, I am. Did you enter the game last night? He asked her. I did, and I was blown away by how amazing and realistic the world seemed. It exceeded my expectations on many levels. No wonder why it's the most popular game in the entire world right now. I almost didn't want to log off once I started playing. Yuro spoke in a voice filled with excitement, sounding like a child who just went to the amusement park for the first time. Hurrah! So you finally understand, Yuan said with a smile on his face. Anyway, after getting my character evaluated, I was given a brief explanation about the world by some cultivator before being sent to this beginner city called Spring City in the Eastern Continent. I don't know how far away it is from Pang City, but I hope it's not too far. Don't worry, Yuro. No matter how far away you are, I will come to you. Spring City, right? I will definitely see you there. I can't wait to play with you, brother. Yuro nodded with enthusiasm. Sometime later, Yuro went to prepare for school, whilst Yuan returned to the game. Welcome back, brother Yuan, Xiaohua said to him after seeing his face appear out of thin air like a ghost. Did anything happen while I was away? He asked her. Luo Ling and Luo Li came to visit you last night, but I told them you had to go somewhere, she said to him. I see. Let's go talk to them now before we leave this place. Xiaohua nodded and followed him to meet with the Luo family. Luo Li, Yuan called out to her after seeing her figure in the hallway. Brother Yuan, you're back. Luo Li greeted him with a courteous bow. Sorry I missed you last night. I had to log off for the night. Don't worry about it. It wasn't anything important anyway, Luo Li said to him with a slightly rosy face when she recalled the reason she visited him last night. Anyway, I was just about to call you for breakfast, she then said to him. Yuan nodded and said, Let's go. I need to fill my stomach before I return to my journey. You're leaving already? Luo Li looked at him with a dispirited face. Although she knew that this moment would eventually come, she didn't want to part with him so soon, as there were still many things that she wanted to do with him. Chapter 57 Teleportation Device. Yes, I plan on leaving this place after breakfast, said Yuan after Luo Li asked about his departure. Is that so? I understand. Luo Li nodded before continuing. Let's continue this conversation with everyone else. Okay. Sometime later, Yuan and the Luo family began eating breakfast. Where do you plan on going after this, brother Yuan? Or are you still planning on going to the purple bamboo forest for training? Luo Ling asked him during breakfast. While they normally speak after breakfast, she didn't want to waste any more time after learning that he would be leaving soon. No, my plans have changed. I will be going to Spring City after this to meet up with someone. As for training at Purple Bamboo Forest, that will have to wait until a later date. Spring City? That's quite far away from here, even if you are flying there on a sword. Lord Luo said to him. Really? How far is it? Yuan asked him with a slightly anxious frown, worried that he might not be able to meet Yuro on time. Spring City is approximately 30,000 miles from Arpang City. It will take you over 100 hours to fly there even if you flew without rest for the entire journey. No way. Yuan's face immediately dropped after learning just how far away Spring City was from his current location. At this rate, Yuro's entire vacation will end by the time he even gets there, and he will have to wait another week before they can play together. Seeing the desperation on Yuan's face, Luo Ming spoke out loud. If you are in that much of a hurry to get to Spring City, why don't you use the teleportation device in Liang City? It's only 3,000 miles from here. Though, you will have to pay a tremendous amount of gold to use it. Really? I can reach Spring City in a short amount of time if I use this teleportation device. Yuan's dispirited expression immediately brightened. Yes, you should be able to reach Spring City before the day ends. However, it won't be cheap. After all, teleportation devices require a massive amount of spiritual energy to operate, and the further you need to go, the more expensive it'll cost you. 30,000 miles isn't bad at all, so the gold we gave you should be more than enough for you to use it. Luo Ming said to him. Thank you. I will use this teleportation device, even if it'll cost me an arm and leg. Yuan said to him. Why are you in such a hurry, brother Yuan? Is this person you are meeting that important? Luo Ling suddenly asked him. Yes, she's the most important person in my life. He responded without hesitation. The most important person in your life? Luo Li repeated in a low voice, feeling somewhat envious of this person. Even Xiao Hua couldn't help but look at him with her interest piqued. It's not an exaggeration to say if not for her, I would not be alive right now. Yuan nodded with a heartfelt expression on his face. Is she your lover, brother Yuan? Luo Ming couldn't help but ask him. Ha ha ha, of course not. Yuan laughed at his words before saying, She's my sister. Oh, it's just his sister. The Luo family sighed in relief after hearing his words. Brother Yuan's sister. What kind of person is she? Xiao Hua suddenly asked him while staring at him intensively. She's a very kind individual who puts others' well-being above her own. Even though she's already busy enough with her own life, she never fails to take care of me every single day, even when she's exhausted herself, and I cannot thank her enough for her sacrifices. It sounds like you have a wonderful sister, brother Yuan. I fully understand why you must leave now, Luo Li said to him with a smile. Once the small conversation was over, they continued to eat. Sometime later, once breakfast was finished, Lord Luo whispered to one of the servants. The servant returned a few minutes later with a scroll in her hands and handed it to Yuan. That map will show you how to get to Liang City from here. Since you will be flying, it will be much easier for you, but you must pass a mountain range before you can see Liang City. Thank you. Yuan accepted the map. Allow me to walk you outside, brother Yuan. Luo Ling stood up and said to him. I will come too. Luo Li also said. A few moments later, Luo Ling suddenly embraced one of his arms close to her chest, whilst Luo Li went for the other before leading him outside, making Yuan appear to be some kind of playboy with a beauty in each of his arms. Once they were outside, Yuan was dumbfounded by the massive crowd that filled the streets. Why is there so many people here? He was dumbfounded. After what happened with the Mountain Lord, our Pang City has been flooded with visitors. Many of them appeared to have come here looking for brother Yuan. And even though we have already told them that you had long left this city, the numbers continued to grow. Luo Ling said to him, I see. Then I can only fly out of here. Yuan sighed. Goodbye, Luo Li, Luo Ling. I won't forget my experience here. He then said to them with a bright smile on his face. Can I hug you before you leave? Luo Li suddenly asked him. Yuan nodded and opened his arms without thinking too much about it. Luo Li immediately leaped into his arms and embraced him tightly. Come back here when you have the time, okay? I will always be waiting for you. I will. After hugging him for a few moments, Luo Li released her arms and took a step back before suddenly propelling herself towards Yuan, kissing him on the cheeks. Yuan was speechless, but he didn't mind it. I will see you later, brother Yuan. Luo Li said to him with a red face before running back into the house. It's my turn to say goodbye. Luo Ling also went to embrace him. I am going to miss you, she mumbled to him. A few moments later, Luo Ling released him and kissed him on the other side of his cheeks, and unlike Luo Li, she did not immediately run away afterward. The next time you visit us, we can do something even more intimate. She winked at him in a seductive manner. Although Yuan couldn't understand the meaning behind her words, he nodded his head regardless. I will see you later, he said to her. Once Luo Ling also entered the house, Xiao Hua said to him, Brother Yuan sure is popular with the ladies. He showed a bashful smile before speaking. Anyway, let's head to Liang City for the teleportation device. Yuan then retrieved his spirit sword to let Xiao Hua control it. A few moments later, the two of them soared towards the clear sky and left the city, shocking the people that saw them from below. After leaving Pang City, Yuan and Xiao Hua flew straight towards Liang City. However, because of Yuan's low cultivation base, they needed multiple breaks in between their journey. I am going to eat the Mountain Lord's monster core now, Yuan suddenly said during their third break. A few moments later, He popped the monster core into his mouth like a piece of candy before swallowing the sweetness. Heaven refining physique activated. 311 million Qi has been refined from the Black Beast's monster core. 307, 680, 000/307, 680, 000. You have absorbed enough Qi for a breakthrough. You have reached the 5th level Spirit Warrior. Plus 3,000 stats. 480, 500, 000/615, 360, 000. After consuming the Mountain Lord's monster core, Yuan could feel his exhausted energy instantly recover to the brim and more. He then turned to look at his status screen. Cultivation, 5th level Spirit Warrior. Legacy, none. Bloodline, none. Physique, Heaven refining physique. Physical strength, 12,734. Mental strength, 12,975. Soul strength, 14,910. Physical defense, 12,710. Mental defense, 13,821. Qi experience, 480, 500, 000/615, 360, 000. Fame, 80. Charm, 30. Luck, 10. Seeing these large numbers, Yuan couldn't help but wonder if it was normal for cultivators at his level to have such high stats. He then looked at his available skills. Heaven's Secret Art, Mastery Level, 2. Consuming Heaven Technique, Mastery Level, 2. Heaven Splitting Sword Strike, Mastery Level, 2. Bloody Sword Strike, Mastery Level, 3. Thousand Knife Technique, Mastery Level, 1. Heavenly Fire Control, Mastery Level, 1. Cooking Skill, Mastery Level, 1. Advanced Senses, Enhanced Strength, Weak Poison Resistance, Novice Sword Mastery. Despite having so many techniques at hand, Yuan felt like he only had one or two from using the same technique over and over again. However, it was not as though there was any need for him to use the other techniques when Bloody Sword Strike is more than enough to handle most threats with ease. "Are you okay, Brother Yuan?" Xiaohua asked him in a worried tone after noticing that he had been staring at the empty air with a dazed face, worrying that he might have finally gone crazy from eating too many monster cores. "Oh, I'm fine. I was just thinking about something," he said a moment later. "Anyway, let's continue our journey now that I am full of energy again." Xiaohua nodded, and they returned to the sky shortly later. "Do we need to rest again?" Xiaohua asked him an hour later. Yuan shook his head and spoke in a relaxed tone. "No, I am still filled with energy. I cannot believe how much stronger I got just from one level. The higher your cultivation, the more difference between each level," Xiaohua said to him. After flying for another hour, Yuan was finally beginning to feel tired, so they rested for half an hour, and they continued this routine until they reached Liang City. "Finally, I can finally see the city." Yuan spoke with teary eyes when he saw the tall city walls in the distance. It has been over 12 hours since they left Pang City, and the entire journey was simply mentally exhausting for someone like Yuan who has never traveled such a long distance in one go before. Sometime later, they descended near the entrance where there was a decently long queue of people waiting to get inside the city. However, when the guards saw how Yuan and Xiaohua appeared out of nowhere from the skies, they immediately ignored the people in the line and rushed towards them. "Welcome to our Liang City, senior cultivators. If there's anything you need, please let us assist you." The guard spoke after politely bowing to them. "We're here for the teleportation device," said Yuan. "It's here, right?" "That is correct. Our Liang City indeed has a teleportation device. However, it has a travel distance limit of 70,000 miles. That's more than enough. I only intend on traveling to Spring City, which should be around 30,000 miles away." "I understand. Please come with me. I will lead you to the teleportation device." Yuan nodded and followed one of the guards into the city while the other guards returned to assist the other people. Sometime later, they reached the center of Liang City, where the teleportation device was in the middle of a crowded square street. "That's the teleportation device." Yuan raised his eyebrows in a surprised manner after seeing the large circular object that seemed to be made of some kind of metallic material. It looked like a massive round mirror, but without the glass in the middle, and there was even a stage right before it. "Is there anything else you need from me, seniors?" The guard asked them after they arrived. No, this is all. Thank you for taking the time to bring us here. Yuan said to him. Please, you don't even need to mention it. I am merely doing my job. The guard left a few moments later, leaving Yuan and Xiaohua standing before the teleportation device. Where would you like to go? An old man with a profound aura standing beside the teleportation device suddenly spoke to Yuan after noticing their presence. Spring City, he said. Spring City, huh? That would be 30,247 miles from here. The old man said to him. How much will it cost? 350,000 gold coins. The old man quickly responded. That much? Yuan cried inwardly. Although he had prepared himself for it, the price still shocked him greatly. Seeing Yuan's dumbfounded expression, the old man said, It requires an enormous amount of spiritual energy to operate the teleportation device. It's only natural it'll cost this much. Do you still want to use it? Yuan quickly nodded. Yes, I do. The old man then extended his wrinkly hands towards Yuan, signaling him for the payment. Seeing this, Yuan sighed inwardly before taking out his storage pouch and handing the old man the money. Chapter 59 Xian Family. After counting the money with his spiritual sense, the old man nodded with satisfaction and said to them, Go ahead and step onto the stage. Yuan and Xiaohua proceeded to walk onto the stage and stood before the massive teleportation device. The old man then walked to a stand that was only a few meters away and placed onto it a few chunks of beautiful crystal that emitted intense spiritual energy. A few moments later, once the teleportation device was charged up with spirit chi from the crystals, the empty space before Yuan began to twist and turn, and a black portal appeared. You won't be directly teleported inside Spring City, but a few miles out. Enter the teleportation device whenever you are ready, but don't take too long because it will disappear in a minute. Yuan nodded and turned to look at Xiaohua. Are you ready? He asked her. Whenever Brother Yuan is ready. She nodded her small head. Yuan then extended his hand for her to hold, and Xiaohua grabbed it without hesitation. After taking a deep breath, Yuan took a step forward and walked into the portal while holding Xiaohua's small hands, disappearing from Liang City. And literally a second later, just like when he first entered the game and met Xiaohua, Yuan found himself surrounded by trees in the middle of nowhere. Let's go up, Yuan said, and they soared to the sky a moment later to look for the city. I think it's that place over there. Yuan pointed at the city in the distance. Let's go. They began flying towards the city. You have discovered Spring City. A few minutes later, they descended from the sky and landed in front of the city gates. And just like the guards from Pang City and Liang City, the guards at Spring City immediately approached them after seeing them descend from the heavens. Welcome to our Spring City, seniors. If you need anything, just let me know. The guard said to him. It's fine. We are only here to meet with someone. Yuan said to the guard. May I have the senior's name so we can report to the Xian family of your presence? The guard suddenly said. Xian family. Yuan suddenly recalled Xian Wuhan, who mentioned that her family was in this city. That's correct, senior. The Xian family controls this city, and we were instructed to let them know if any experts arrive at our city to avoid any unnecessary trouble. The guard explained to him. Then do you know Xian Wuhan? Yuan asked him. The young lady? Are you acquainted with the young lady? The guard showed a surprised face. Yes, she asked me to see her if I ever visit Spring City, and I have some time before my meeting. Here, she even gave me this. Yuan showed him the medallion Xian Wuhan gave him in Spirit City. That's the Xian family's medallion. The guard's eyes widened with surprise after seeing the medallion. Only those trusted by the Xian family would have something like that. Please follow me, esteemed guests. I will immediately bring you to the Xian family. The guard bowed to them with respect. By the way, you can call me Yuan. Young Master Yuan. Meanwhile, another guard rushed to return to the Xian family before Yuan and Xiaohua could arrive to alert them about their presence. What? Someone with my family's medallion is coming here? I don't recall anyone that goes by the name Yuan. The head of the Xian family, Patriarch Xian, raised his eyebrows after hearing about Yuan. He mentioned the young lady's name, even claiming that she was the one who gave him the medallion, said the guard. Patriarch Xian nodded and said, Bring my daughter here. Yes, Patriarch. Sometime later, Xian Wuhan appeared before them with a messy appearance, looking like she'd just gotten out of bed. What's the matter, father? I was having a nice dream, you know, she asked him with a tired expression. Do you know someone by the name of Yuan? Patriarch Xian immediately asked her. How do you know about Taoist Yuan, father? Xian Wuhan's face immediately became energetic after hearing Yuan's name, and she looked at him with a surprised face. So you are acquainted with him? Yes, I met him at Spirit City in the auction house there. Although I don't know his background, he's definitely not an ordinary individual, especially the little girl who follows him around. I have a feeling that she's a real expert like Grandpa. A spirit master like my father, huh? That's very likely, as the guards saw her flying with their own eyes. Wait a moment. They were here? In our city? Xian Wuhuan quickly asked him. Yes, and they are heading here as we speak. Why didn't you tell me that from the beginning? I am not ready to receive any guests, and I have already wasted plenty of time here. Then you'd best hurry up and fix your appearance before they arrive. Patriarch Xian shook his head at her. While Xian Wuhan is known for being a hard worker by the people outside, she was the complete opposite at home, being a lazy girl who spends most of her time sleeping. I will be right back, Xian Wuhan said before she ran towards the bathroom. Meanwhile, Yuan and Xiao Hua had just arrived at the Xian family's household. Heavens, this place is even bigger than the Luo family's manor in Pang City. It's almost like comparing a small hut to a massive mansion. Yuan spoke with a dazed look on his face as he stood right outside their building. It's no wonder why Xian Wuhan was treated like a VIP at the auction house. The Xian family has already been notified of your arrival, esteemed guests. Just as the guard finished his sentence, the door opened, and a handsome and tall middle-aged man with a profound aura walked out of the building and stared at Yuan with a sharp gaze. 5th level spirit warrior. How old is this young man? He doesn't look any older than my daughter. Patriarch Xian was filled with surprise after seeing his cultivation base and young appearance. However, what shocked him the most was Xiao Hua's formidable presence, who was naturally emitting a profound aura, yet he could not see the full extent of her cultivation base despite being a spirit master himself. A real expert. She's a real expert, he cried inwardly. Chapter 60. What the heck happened to you? You must be Taoist Yuan. I am the patriarch of the Xian family and Xian Wuhan's father, Xian Chao. Thank you for taking the time to visit our humble family. Patriarch Xian clasped his hands together and bowed to them respectfully with a friendly smile on his face. Thank you for having me. Yuan followed his movements and returned the bow. Please, come inside. Yuan and Xiao Hua then followed him into the massive building. Welcome, esteemed guests. 2 rows of servants standing parallel to each other bowed to them in unison as they entered the house. Once they were in the guest room, the servants served them tea, and Patriarch Xian spoke as Yuan held the teacup. I have heard about you from my daughter, Taoist Yuan, and I must say, you are as talented as... No, you have exceeded my expectations. Reaching the 5th level spirit warrior realm at such a young age, I can only imagine how talented your master must be. And I cannot help but ask, just how old are you this year? Patriarch Xian looked at him with clear eyes filled with interest. I turned 18 3 months ago, Yuan responded casually. 18. Patriarch Xian exclaimed, nearly standing up from shock. Although Yuan looked young, he did not really expect him to be such a young man since appearance is the most deceptive part about cultivators with Xiao Hua as the perfect example. Unbelievable. I thought you were near my daughter's age, maybe even slightly older, but alas, to think you were actually younger than her by 3 years. Patriarch Xian praised him without feeling any shame, even feeling a little envious of his talent. And while he wanted to ask Yuan about his background, Patriarch Xian did not want to appear too inquisitive on their first meeting. It was at this moment the door to the room opened, and a beautiful young lady wearing subtle yet striking makeup entered the room. Yuan turned around to look at Xian Wuhan and smiled upon seeing her. Hello, Xian Wuhan. I have come to visit you. Taoist Yuan. Thank you for... What the heck happened to you? Xian Wuhan suddenly exclaimed in a shocked tone midway through her sentence, dumbfounding Yuan and Patriarch Xian. Yuan watched with wide eyes as Xian Wuhan ran towards him in an aggressive manner. How are you already at the 5th level spirit warrior realm? The last time I saw you, you were only at the 1st level, and that was only a few days ago. She looked at him with a gawking face. What? Patriarch Xian stood up from shock after hearing his daughter's baffling words. Not even a cultivating monster can improve their cultivation so quickly. Just what kind of background does Yuan have? Visit lee/getnovelpub.com for the best novel reading experience. WL. A few things have occurred since the auction house, Yuan said with a weird smile on his face. You must have had quite the fortunate encounter to raise your cultivation so quickly. How envious. I also want a fortunate encounter. Xian Wuhan sighed loudly. I wouldn't call them fortunate events, though. Yuan shook his head with a bitter smile. Anyway, what brings you to Spring City? Don't tell me you are here just to see me, she asked him with flickering eyes. I'm meeting with my sister here, Yuan calmly responded. Oh, Xian Wuhan mumbled, feeling somewhat disappointed. Then how long do you plan on staying here? She asked a moment later. I'm not sure, but it probably won't be long, he said. Do you have a place to stay? If not, you can stay here for the time being. We have plenty of guest rooms. That probably won't be necessary, since I will be meeting with my sister in a few hours. Thank you for the offering, though. Don't worry. If you ever need a place to stay, you know where to go, she said to him. What about dinner? It's being prepared right now, Patriarch Xian suddenly said. I can stay for that. Yuan nodded. While they waited for dinner to be ready, Xian Wuhan asked Yuan about his activities after they separated from the auction house. Yuan then told them about his encounter with the demonic spider and the mountain lord at Pang City. Both Xian Wuhan and Patriarch Xian listened to his adventure with dropping jaws. How can so much happen in just a few days? Furthermore, it doesn't explain how he managed to improve his cultivation base so quickly. You said that you don't belong to any sect, right? Do you intend on joining one in the future? Xian Wuhan asked him afterward. I honestly don't know. I haven't seen enough of this world yet to want to stay in one place for an extended amount of time, he said. If that is your only concern, then I don't think you need to worry because only the newer disciples have their movements and activities limited to within the sect, mostly for their own safety. Xian Wuhan said, and she continued, inner disciples and core disciples such as myself have plenty of freedom. In fact, most of us spend more time outside than inside the sect. Take me for example. I belong to a sect, yet I spend more time outside than at the sect. As long as I don't slack and continue to progress my cultivation, they won't restrict my movements. And with your talents and your current cultivation, it's almost guaranteed that you will become a core disciple the instant you join a sect. If you are still worried, then you can join my sect. My grandfather is an elder at the sect, and with his backing, even the sect leader will have to think twice before doing anything to you. Hearing her words, Yuan nodded and said, I will think about it. Although he wasn't interested in sects at first, if he wants to have a better understanding of cultivators, he should live around them for some time. And since Xian Wuhuan has reassured him that he won't have his freedom limited, it seemed like the perfect time to join one. However, because he still needed his sister's opinion on this matter, he won't make any decisions for now.